This is Matthew from Love Buddy, and I'm here to talk about community today. Right now it's 10 a.m. here in the Philippines, and it's 10 p.m. In New York, 10 p.m. on Sunday night in New York. It's 10 a.m. on Monday morning here in the Philippines, and it's whatever time it is wherever you are, but all over the world right now is now. So I wanted to share some ideas about community today because community has been an interest of mine for about 35 years. I started some community projects, some community things now. And I've worked in different countries in different capacities and put together some projects that were kind of successful, some projects that were absolute failures, and so all kind of projects in between. And learning about community, learning about what people think about community, learning about the benefits of community. So community seems to me to be a way to take the pulse of love in a certain geographical area. So I'm not talking about virtual communities online, although they're a wonderful thing, and that's a whole other topic. And that's actually something that we have here with Love Buddy. We have an online, it's a virtual community because it's not geographically based. It's based upon interest, people that are interested in love, bringing more love in the world, contributing to the love in the world, having more love in their own lives. So that's kind of an online community. But I'm talking to be a geographically based one, where the kids walk home from school and where the people are hanging out their laundry, or people are walking to the supermarket, they're outside mowing the lawn, this kind of a community feeling that is really just locally in your neighborhood. Do you live in a loveless place? Do you live in a place without any community? Well, let's look at some questions about that. Are you isolated from your neighbors geographically? Well, this is something you have so little control over. People can still have a certain amount of community, even if they're kind of in farm country where there are acres and acres of land separating people. Or maybe it's a really remote place that doesn't have any farming, but people are living in the mountains and little places, nooks and crannies here and there spread far out. If you don't have this thing where you've got the kids walking home from school or mowing the lawn kind of an environment, it's tough to have a geographical community because you have to travel so far to get there. It would be kind of impractical to have a lot of interaction with people that are so far away, and that would be limited in time. So maybe if there's a local church, local place of worship, or a local general store or something like that, you might run into people there. And if there's a church, there might be some functions, some activities, some benefits from traveling and going to a church nearby or far away every week or whenever you can make it. So geographically spread out, that can be a real challenge to community. How about high crime that keeps you inside? I spent a little time in a neighborhood in the south side of Chicago. That was a very high crime area. People getting shot, I don't know, probably every day, blocks within several blocks. And I didn't want to go out. I wasn't used to that. I was afraid to go out. And so that can keep people inside, and then keep people very nervous about being seen or, maybe getting robbed or getting shot or something like that. So high crime in an area can really put a damper on people interacting. People be feeling free to be outside. Is your neighborhood all about status and separation? So I've lived in neighborhoods or visited neighborhoods or seen neighborhoods that there are these huge houses with these huge lawns, even gated, people who have such a big house that they have their own gate, they have their own fence, separating it from everything around them like it's its own separate compound. Areas like this, maybe people know who's in that house over there, that big, green house, or that place with the big porch or the red door, but maybe they don't really get together and share life or don't really help each other out and don't interact in any meaningful way. But they might be friendly, they might wave, and that's better than nothing. Are the neighbors of different cultures than you? When I was living on the north side of Chicago, when I was 8 years old, 9 years old, there were some neighbors that I know we called them gypsies. And I guess they were traveling people. And There were also a lot of neighbors that were Jewish. We were a Catholic family, so we didn't interact with the Jewish neighbors. Most of them were the property owners that we rented from in that part of the city. And culturally, we were quite different. Although we might be really the same to someone in China, we might appear to be the same. But when you have your own culture, you notice some real differences. You even notice something as different as, how you eat your hot dogs, or, the music you like to listen to, or what movies you prefer to watch. So even though we had a lot of similarities, and our neighbors were really nice, there was an Italian family that we were pretty similar to. We weren't very ethnic because our roots had been in America for, I guess, a couple hundred years, or 100 years anyway. So we were just kind of plain vanilla white folks. And but there were some cultural differences that made it so that, wow, those guys are of this religion, or they're of this ethnicity, and we couldn't interact so easily because we didn't really have the intention, the desire, or the tools to bridge cultures. So that can be a real issue. If you're kind of like the only black person in a white neighborhood, or you're the only Asian people in a black neighborhood, or whatever, sometimes that can really make it harder to interact. It brings more challenges. It requires more tools, more skills to be able to bridge those gaps. And most of us don't focus on those skills. Most of us focus on something else. Is everyone too busy in your neighborhood? Are people too busy to interact? They're always doing something. Even if they're outside the yard, they might be busy with the yard work, and then they go back inside, and then they all hop in the car and they go wherever they're going to go. So if people don't make the time, take the time, take the opportunity to interact with their neighbors as friends, as community, then they're not going to have the time. They'll always be busy doing something, even if it's something as simple as sitting inside and watching TV, where they could be interacting with their neighbors in some meaningful way. Is there a park nearby? If there aren't any parks nearby, then if the weather's okay, we still have no place to go. So people go to the park, and one of the wonderful thing that builds community is mothers or caretakers of the children going to the park and playing on the swing set and chatting while they watch their children play. And this is a wonderful aspect of community. But if you don't have a park nearby, how can you do that? Is there a recreation center? Is there a place where people can go play basketball or play different sports, get some physical exercise, and interact that way? If there's no rec center, no recreation center, then it can be difficult to interact on a sports level, or get together and have a soda or something and stand around outside. And lastly, is there a community center? Now, most places that I've been to and seen, anywhere in the world that I've been, have had not really any community center. Maybe they call it a community center, but there's nothing of it has nothing to do with community. It might have, for example, here where I am here in the Philippines, it might have more to do with the administration. It's like a government office, but very little community activities actually go on there, very little community planning, very little responsibility for the day-to-day goings on in the community. It just doesn't serve it that much. That's not the focus. Although some resources are available, some space. So we're looking at locally getting involved with the local administration to use some of their space for some of our handicrafts projects with the kids. So whatever resources there are, sometimes they're nil, but if there are some resources there, some places, then it gives us an opportunity to build community. Are there places, finally, are there places nearby, places of worship, churches or synagogues or temples, or someplace where people that belong to a certain faith can gather together? This is a great thing because it creates a somewhat loyal and a somewhat active community that can also be of benefit to the people around. The challenging part is that they leave out everyone else. So anyone who's not of that faith, they're not interested. They don't really want to be part of that because it doesn't fit their model of the world, doesn't fit their aspiration, doesn't fit their spirituality, doesn't fit their interests at all. They don't want to sit there and listen to people talk about, oh, we believe in this guy and we believe in this thing, and it doesn't really resonate with them. Maybe they'll have a different interest. So a love-based community center, whether it's online for starters, which is a good way to start these days until you have a certain level of critical mass. But then you could also just have a physical community center and build community based upon that, which is something I plan to do in the near future. Create a physical, well, we've done that here. We've got a physical, we use our home and we use our porch as the local community center. And this becomes a place, we put a bulletin board outside and we put notices outside and we have activities. Like yesterday, there was a handicrafts activity that the community leader ran. She's a community leader here. She's my girlfriend. And so, you can create a physical community center, so that becomes a place where people can interact and the kids can have a place to go and they'll have activities to do, especially during the summer now. School won't start for another 2 weeks. And so they have a little bit too much time on their hands and they have a tendency to get in trouble or do things that are counterproductive, that are non-productive. So a physical community center based upon love, which is really just, well, let's look at the qualities here. 16 qualities that we demand that we work together and build community. If we live these qualities of love, then community will automatically happen. It'll naturally happen. It just will kind of materialize because we're practicing love. So part of love, so I'll pop through these. This is we're going to go a little bit long today because community is such a huge topic. So I want to look at some of these. There are about 16 qualities here that I picked out of about 68 different manifestations of love. So we know love is there when we see these qualities. One of them is accepting. You accept your neighbors, you accept the situation the way it is, you embrace it, it's okay with you, it's a good thing. That helps to build community because you're not saying, oh, I don't really want to be here. You don't really have that attitude. You have the attitude, okay, I accept what I've got around here. Second is being present. So you're not hiding out emotionally or physically, isolating yourself, closing the door, sitting in another room or sitting watching TV so that your mind is zombied out on some entertainment. But being present is being there and interacting and saying hello and interacting with others. Caring, you have to care about other people to be part of the community. If you care about other people, which is a natural quality of love, a natural quality that's inside of us, we care about others, then we're automatically going to be interested. We're going to be interacting. Communicating, interaction on a verbal level, or mostly on a verbal level, where you're saying hello to somebody, how's it going, how's the job, or it looks like your flowers are growing nicely, or your vegetables are doing well. Communicating can be on a very superficial level, but it still creates a bond, it still creates a relationship, it still creates warm feelings. Embracing. So bringing other people in, saying, hey, you want to come over and have lunch with us, or you want to have barbecue on Sunday afternoon? Interacting with people and inviting them in, embracing them, not putting up a wall, not saying, well, those guys probably wouldn't like this, or we don't really like their dogs, so we don't want to, interact with these people. It's embracing. There's a concept of embracing. That's a quality of love. Not putting up walls, not shutting out, but embracing and bringing in. Feedback. Okay, so a lot of times neighbors, somebody's got a loud car, somebody's got a dog that's ripping up something, or somebody's got kids that they might feel is a bad influence, or their tree is growing over somebody's fence, or there's a million things that when you're living together can be sources of frustration, irritation, anger, conflict. Or there can also be a lot of really positive things too. But either way, giving feedback, saying, hey, I noticed that my tree is growing over. Do you want me to cut that or whatever, or I noticed that your son got another trophy for the track team. I just wanted to congratulate you. You're really doing a great job at helping him bring out his potential as a runner, So we can give feedback, or we can give feedback that's challenging, that says, hey, is there a way that we can change things so that we can work together more smoothly? Feedback is incredibly important. Generous, you've got to give your time, you've got to give your resource. Maybe you're baking cookies for somebody and giving them away just as a gesture of kindness. So generosity is really necessary. You've got to be willing to give. You've got to be willing to be generous with your neighbors. Otherwise, you'll always say, look, I haven't got the time. Look, I don't have the money I don't want to bake cookies for you, or I don't want to go to that barbecue and stand around and talk. I've got better things to do with my time. Look, if you saw the value of human beings, if you value the humanity in yourself, you'd find a way to be generous with your neighbors. Helpful. Somebody needs help. Maybe some kid's got a bicycle, the dad's at work, and you can fix the bicycle for them. It's an option. Maybe you can help somebody, in their gardening, or they can help you. So being helpful is a part of generosity. It's a subset, and it involves seeing that people need something and being willing to help out. Maybe somebody needs some money to take the bus every month. They need the bus pass. So you could buy a bus pass for them, so they could go to work on the bus, because you've got an extra $35 or whatever it would cost for the bus pass for a month. So these are helpful things that we can think of to do for each other. Nurturing. And nurture is looking to another person, looking to other people as something that we want to see grow. We want to see them get empowered. We want to see them healthy. We want to see them develop. We want to see them actualize as individuals. So if you're really interested in nurturing, you're going to nurture your neighbors. And you're going to, when you see their little girl out on her tricycle or something like that, maybe you'll help her learn how to ride the tricycle, or the little boy, you help him, you play catch with them a little bit, things like that. You interact with people as they see. If you see a young man who's studying to be a mechanic, you can talk to him about your car, or talk to him about your experience with fixing cars and things like that. Ways to empower others and nurture them and help them to grow and be strong and be independent contributors to society and to community. Oneness. If you realize, the love in our hearts, the more love you feel, the more love we're aware of, the more love we practice, the more love we're conscious to, the more we're in the love zone. All the barriers break down, and you realize that we're all one. And that guy over there behaving in that challenging way is an example to me, because I do that sometimes, and I have compassion for him, and I can see how we're all one. We're all one human family. We're all kind of one spirit. We're all one heart. We all want the same thing. We all want to be happy. We all want happy families. We all want to actualize. We want to be healthy. We want to have joy and a sense of a meaning in our lives, and a sense of accomplishment, and a sense of cooperation and harmony and peace. We all want these. We're all one in this way. So when you realize this oneness, the barriers and the fear about interacting with somebody in the community just drop. Wow, that's just like me. They're just like, we're just the same. Look at how similar all of us are. Love reaches out. So love in a community reaches out. It sees the situation and says, oh, wow, what if they got a problem over there? Maybe there's something I can do to help. Whatever it is. Hey, your dog got loose. He got out of the yard. We got him. We brought him back. Whatever. But love reaches out. Love volunteers. Love says, hey, I noticed there's a situation, and what can I do to help out? I noticed that on garbage day, the garbage gets all over, or whatever, maybe we could do this. They think of ideas and they reach out. They're proactive. Love is a proactive thing. It takes action. and it sees situations that could be improved, and it volunteers to help improve those situations. And when you have a community of people that are practicing love, that understand love, you've got a team. And that's a beautiful thing, the things that can be accomplished. So love is serving. Love is not demanding to be served. Love is not high on a pedestal, but love is willing to serve others, do what they need. It's part of generosity. It's part of being helpful. But it's a concept of serving. What can I do for you? How can I help you? You know, when you go to a good restaurant, for example, the serving person, the server, will say, you know, what can I get for you? Here's what I can do. What would you like? There's this service model. If we apply that to community, because we have the love in our hearts, and love is about service, we help the community grow. The community grows and expands and it builds. 3 more, supportive, being supportive of others when they're in need, helping out, seeing where people need support, whether it's financial or some other kind of support, emotional support. Being supportive is one of the qualities of love that helps to build community. Maybe it's for the senior citizens. Maybe there's a senior citizen that he's getting stuck in a wheelchair and you can help him walk around. You know, that's being supportive to that person emotionally. It's a single mom who's got too many kids to feed. You could make some meals, or you could buy some groceries for here and there. That's being supportive financially. Tolerant. This is a huge one. Why? Because we're all different, and we've all got personality flaws, and we've all got blind spots, we've got weaknesses, we've got history, we've got baggage, we've got areas that will make it so that we're not always completely rational, completely calm, completely sane, completely easy to deal with. So we need to be tolerant. People playing music too loud, you know, they love the music, you know, young people especially love the music and they want to hear it, and having it loud is part of that really great music experience. How can we find a balance between compassionate feedback, respectful feedback, willing to cooperate and communicate about that, you know, and being tolerant to some reasonable noise or some other reasonable infraction on what we consider the way everybody's supposed to behave. We're tolerant of people that have different habits, different behaviors than we do. That really goes a long way. So there are sciences, there are groups, there are organizations based upon the concept of tolerance alone, and how tolerating each other's differences and tolerating things that might challenge us helps. It goes a real long way, because things are not going to be perfect. So we just say, hey, okay, that's the way that is. I accept it the way it is. I can tolerate that. It's not killing me. It's not ruining my life. It's not optimal. It's not what I would choose, but that's okay. I can live with that. And then finally, vulnerable. Because when we do reach out, when we do share, when we do approach a neighbor, we say, hey, notice you got a new car, or hey, how's your kid doing in school? Saw your kid in school play, whatever. They might reject us. They might say, look, it's none of your business, or yeah, sorry, I gotta go, I'm really busy. The people who don't want to interact, totally okay. We're gonna be rejected. There are gonna be people that will say things that might hurt, or people that don't want to interact with us, people that don't like us because of the color of our skin, or because of our religion, or who knows what. So opening your heart to someone else, opening your heart to community, contributing something to someone else, giving your time, giving your energy, giving your resources to someone who doesn't appreciate it or rejects it or criticizes it or criticizes us for who we are, how we look, things like that. It's going to happen. It's part of interaction. It's part of community. It's normal. It's natural. We can accept it. And love is vulnerable. Love allows us to go through that feeling. Wow, guess he didn't like the cookies. Guess he doesn't really want to talk. Guess he's not interested today. We persist. We're kind, we're respectful, we persist. A lot of times people will turn around, they'll say, oh, sorry, I was so busy yesterday. I just had a fight, with my boss on the phone, and I got to run into work, and so I didn't have time to talk. Hope you didn't feel insulted. A lot of these things will turn around where we think we're being hurt, when we're not being hurt at all. We felt hurt ourselves, we made ourselves feel hurt. But really that person didn't have that intention whatsoever. Sometimes they might, sometimes they do, that's okay. Being vulnerable is part of reaching out and being part of community. It's part of that step that we take to build community. Okay, what's a block to having a strong community? A lot of times we don't have time. A lot of times our focus is on something else, definitely not on building community. It's one of the last things that people think of, one of the last things that people realize can be such a positive thing. People don't understand the benefits of community, but there are a zillion benefits. There's so many great things. We have more security because if we have people who are watching out for each other, if there's somebody who's robbing or somebody who's being violent or somebody who's being a danger to the community around us, we'll talk about that, we'll know about that, we'll keep an eye out for that, we'll warn others about that. So security is one of the key things that a strong community will bring immediately where there's a high crime area or where there's a opportunity for people to come in and cause some trouble. Social events, there's stuff that you can do together. There are all kinds of block parties and things like that, or different sports events. There are a million things that communities can do together that can be a lot of fun. And it's a way to interact and it's a way to enjoy your life geographically, locally, not isolated just to your school or not having nothing to do regarding social events. Helping the kids. Kids need help. Kids need nurturing. Kids need a community to give them exposure to different ideas and to help them to grow up as well-rounded people, not just isolated to their teachers in school, their peers at school, and then their family at home. They need to interact with people of all ages in the community. So helping kids to grow and learn and get exposed to different ways of living or different ideas or different skills, different resources. Helping kids is really, in itself, is extremely, it's a really important way to benefit your own future. And this is one good reason to have community because it benefits the kids. Sharing resources. You want to borrow my lawnmower? Okay, can I borrow your whatever, your bicycle? And we can share resources back and forth if we're interacting. If we're not interacting, everybody buys their own everything, puts it inside their fence separately. Everybody's got to have their own everything, even if they're using it only once a month. But if we're sharing resources that we have, if we're sharing knowledge, if we're sharing time and energy, sharing these resources really is one of the huge benefits of community. Not only something like a lawnmower, but services. So if you know a good babysitter, and I know you, we have a relationship, and she's your good babysitter, then I could use her as a babysitter because I trust you. If I don't know you, if I don't have a sense of community, who knows who you're going to bring in? Who knows where to order pizza from? Who knows who to use as a lawn service, a gardener? You don't know because you're not interacting with anybody. Nobody has a reputation, so you don't trust anybody. If you have a community, you can say, yeah, this guy's good at this, or this guy's looking for work, and he's got really good prices right now. Even a community center will go way beyond just a simple community organization where you're interacting on an informal level. Having a physical place is really a huge benefit, and I've seen so little of that. But so many things can happen if you have that. You can have a garden or a greenhouse where people can grow vegetables. There can be more fresh, healthy food. Some people even have fish or chickens in a community center where there's this aquaponics, where they're growing fish and the vegetables have this own little kind of an ecosystem. A security force, so you have people in the neighborhood who might patrol the neighborhood if that's necessary, and they're the people that you can call and send a warning to. Hey, there's a guy outside, and I know he doesn't live there, and he's trying to get in the door, and they'll be on it, and they'll be making sure that the neighborhood is safe and secure. So a security force is something that can come out of having a community center, having a sense of community. Place for learning with internet. So if you had a community center with some computers there, maybe people who can't afford a computer, they don't know how to use it, they could come there and they could learn and they could get information and do some online courses. There's a place to go. Jobs programs. If you have a community center, you can have someone who's from one of the local businesses come and say, hey, we're looking for somebody who wants to train and work in our fast food restaurant. And here's some of the skills, and here's some of the qualities, and here's what you get paid, and do a presentation of some of the people in the neighborhood who are looking for work. All kinds of possibilities when you communicate to finding work so you can make some money. Place to socialize just for fun. It could be a place to get help, a place to give help, a place to interact. Well-designed, effective community centers replace a lot of government services that aren't really needed. The reason we have this welfare program, this abuse of the welfare program, so much money goes towards entitlements because there's no community. If we had a strong community, taxes should drop, and we can make sure that they do. And we're not just throwing money into this huge vague pile that's incredibly mismanaged by a government. For 350 million people, the government's in one place making these decisions where these resources should go. Sight unseen, people who don't understand. But if we're in a community, we know who needs what. We're able to help out, and we can take care of ourselves. People have this magic idea that government can do everything better. Government does everything worse because they don't know the situation. There's a lot of waste. There's a lot of people just not even working, not really even doing anything, or just shuffling paper and not really helping anybody. Government is big government trying to handle something like community. It's ridiculous. This is something that has to be local, face to face, people interacting in person. There's no comparison for that. If there's love there will be community. Lack of love creates lack of community. If you don't see any community, there's not that much love. So the level of interaction, the level of sharing, the level of working together is all a sign of how much love is or is not in a community. You could say that the level of community interaction is a direct indicator of the level of love there. Okay, just a little bit over time here, just a little over 30 minutes. There's some more notes here. There's what's called Everybody Community, an organization that I created 25 years ago. I'm not sure when I started that particular organization. Had the Human Race Organization in 1985. And then after that, I created this Everybody Community concept. Anyway, there's a Facebook page here. There's a link for that. Facebook, everybody.org. There's a website for that. And there's also information about these qualities of love at lovebuddy.com. You'll see a bunch of links in the notes here. And every day, 10 p.m. New York time and 10 a.m. Philippines or China time, I'm here 7 days a week sharing something about love. Today was about love and community, how community is an indicator of love, and how if we have more love, we have more community. It's part of humanity working together as one in harmony. Anything else I want to say here? Well, yeah, there's a course in love that's coming up that I'm just putting the finishing touches on, called Love 101. Love 101, an introduction to genuine love, help people who are interested in love to get some ideas. So anyway, and then there's going to be a live seminar, going to fly to New York in September. Still pinning down the date, pinning down the exact schedule for that. But it's going to be 3 or 4 days in Manhattan. So anyway, today was about love and community. Hope it was. Hope there are some interesting ideas there for you. I didn't see any comments. I'm not sure if anybody commented or not. I don't always see that when it comes up. So if I didn't reply to you, I apologize. And once I finish the video here in a moment, I'm going to look and see where there's some comments that I missed and some things I need to reply to. Okay, love and community. It's a really huge thing in this world. It's a huge area of development where we can grow and develop as humanity, as people working together in harmony and living together in a happy, healthy, safe, secure way. Okay, so that's it for today. Thanks so much for listening. I appreciate it. My name is Matthew. This is Love Buddy from lovebuddy.com. And have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful night. Thank you so much. I love you. Bye-bye. See you tomorrow.